Well, the political world was rocked this morning by the news that Vice President Kamala Harris has selected in her presidential campaign as her VP pick, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. And I don't know how many segments I've done for all of you on the main show, but Tim Walz is someone on the bonus show we've been talking about a lot. And I've been talking about how he's just one of the best examples of what an elected official should be. He actually is just sort of regular. He gets being not strange and weird like so many of these MAGA figures have become. And he understands the importance of prioritizing common sense policies and treating people compassionately while not compromising on our values, opposing the other side without dehumanizing the other side, all these things. And his record in Minnesota is shocking in a positive way. And so I'm super pumped about this. The three finalists, Mark Kelly, Josh Shapiro, and then Tim Walz, as it was reported on, all three would have been great. Tim Walz is going to be absolutely fantastic. And I have some videos to show you that are causing MAGA to freak out. Because J.D. Vance is Trump's VP pick, and in all the ways that he's already failing that ticket and already not helping, but he may be hurting Trump's candidacy, Tim Walz is the opposite. I saw someone say, Tim Walz is everything that J.D. Vance is trying to pretend to be, sort of your regular guy who comes from humble beginnings and understands rural America and all that. And J.D. Vance puts up that facade, but it does seem so fake. Whereas Tim Walz, again, I'll show you what I mean by this, really has that ability to resonate with people in a way that a lot of politicians have lost. So it's so exciting. But you can already tell, we'll talk about this more in a different segment, about the reaction from Trump. This is terrifying them, because this is such a strong ticket. And before we get to the videos to which I'm referring, here is Vice President Kamala Harris notifying Tim Walz of this.
Hi, this is Tim.
It's Kamala Harris. Good morning, Governor.
Good morning, Madam Vice President.
Listen, I want you to do this with me. Let's do this together. Would you be my running mate and let's get this thing on the road?
I would be honored, Madam Vice President.
The joy that you're bringing back to the country, the enthusiasm that's out there, it'll be a privilege to take this with you across the country.
If you would be so kind and you're not already and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate just by clicking that subscribe button. Easy, free, but it makes quite the difference. Back to the video.
Well, let me tell you, I have just the utmost respect for you. I have really enjoyed our work together. You understand our country. You have dedicated yourself to our country in so many different and beautiful ways. And we're going to do this. We're going to win. And we're going to unify our country and remind everyone that we are fighting for the future for everyone. So let's get out there and get this done, okay?
Let's do it. Do the work in front of us. Let's win this thing.
That's right. All right, buddy. I'll see you soon. Take care. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
So one thing that a lot of people have noted is VP picks rarely make the difference. Because this is going to be such a close election, every single decision like this counts. But one of the things I saw reported was that it was important they found someone who would help electorally, sure. But it was also really important to Kamala Harris that it wasn't just for the sake of politics, but someone she could actually have a governance partnership with, right? Someone who could actually be there in a way that ideally a VP would be in those important rooms, assisting in making important decisions. And she was reported to have a really good chemistry with Tim Walz. And that made the difference in selecting him, which makes sense. I think he's an easy guy to have a good chemistry with from what we've seen. So now let's talk about the videos that I'm going to be playing so much from now until the election of Tim Walz that should scare Trump so badly, because if the contrast in this election is rage, retribution, fear-mongering, dehumanizing on one end. The country's going to be finished, and they're coming from jails, they're coming from insane asylums, etc. Hannibal Lecter. And Trump overtly saying he wants to enact revenge. And on the other side, you have an oppositional message as a part of the campaign, for sure. We are opposing MAGA. There is that. And there is stuff we should be fearful of, like the threat that's posed to democracy. But increasingly, what's developing with now the Harris-Walz campaign is an aesthetic and a vibe that is very bright, that's very hopeful, and that says we do have to win. So that's important. We are opposing something, but we're for something, most importantly. And we're going to make people's lives better. And that being the contrast with the record of both Kamala Harris, especially the Biden-Harris administration's record, and Tim Walz in Minnesota, I'm getting so confident, and we're going to do the work. But then people are going to see videos like this, and this is the type of governance that we're talking about. He signs into law in this video the universal free meals for K through 12. And for so many reasons we can't get into today, this is a really important policy and has long-lasting benefits for children. But here, he signs into law, and all the fear-mongering that they're going to do about, oh, they're so radical, they're so far left, this is our response. Okay, so it's too much. That's what politics should be, is what I've said before. We elect people. They need to go in there, do good work, help people, make their lives better. And this is a hilarious split screen. Democrats say, let's give kids free lunches and breakfast at school. And then you have that photograph. MAGA says, let's put kids to work. And this is when Sarah Huckabee Sanders signed into law the loosening of child labor laws in the state of Arkansas, making it easier to exploit children in working them. So a wild split screen. But the reason I play that for you, in addition to this next one, is because that is the response, right? They want to portray fear. You can't deliver a sort of authoritarian, existential, sky is falling message with this ticket. You can't. It's too bright. It's too hopeful. And it's too common sense what they're promising to do. And then videos like this are an example of Tim Walz. I know this sounds so surface level, but this matters to people. Being a person, like a normal human, in a way that Trump and J.D. Vance just can never get themselves to be. And that's something that I think will make a difference in this election. People wanting just to believe that these individuals that we want to put into a really important position of power actually get it. And we keep talking about with a lot of these attacks against Kamala Harris, oh, she hugs too much, or she laughs too much in the different Fox News attacks. They're not really hurting Kamala Harris, maybe even helping her, but instead showing their own lack of relatability, and they're clearly out of touch if they think that's a good line of attack. The biracial insults that they've been levying the way of Kamala Harris. And you contrast that weirdness and that disaster with stuff like this, and it's just game over.
Hey Minnesota, Governor Walz here, out at the State Fair with my daughter.
Hope.
Every year we as a family do something old and something new. I get to pick something, a classic, the old mill ride, to do that. And then Hope gets to pick something new.
I think we're gonna go do the slingshot.
Which I don't know what it is, and they're keeping it from me. But then we're gonna go get some food, corn dog.
I'm vegetarian.
Turkey then? And
Turkey's
then,
meat.
Not in Minnesota, turkey special. And we will go do some of those things and report back.
So you get the point on that. And this is one of the things that also made Tim Walz the right pick in the mind of Kamala Harris, which is being able to reach out to and resonate with voters who might be on the fence or might not be motivated to go out and vote. And Tim Walz does that better than anybody. He really does. In all the interviews we've covered, the way that he just takes issues that MAGA tries to make controversial and goes, let me just explain this to you in terms that people connect with, and from someone who you can actually believe gets what he's talking about and has experienced the issues he's attempting to now address and actually does care about people, which is a wild thing for us to find unique, but he really does come off as genuinely caring about these issues. And he was a school teacher, a coach, served in the military. And then responses like this to a question from Jake Tapper are the perfect way to react to the, is he too far left? Because he is portrayed to be progressive, but universal free meals in schools, universal background checks for guns, and he's a gun owner and a hunter, paid family and medical leave, guaranteeing that for people, democracy protections, reproductive rights, legislation protecting people's reproductive rights, etc. No one thinks these things are radical, or none of the people we're trying to convince to vote for this ticket do.
But you've legalized recreational marijuana, you passed universal background checks on guns, you expanded LGBTQ protections, you implemented tuition-free college for low-income Minnesotans. There's free breakfast and lunch for school kids. Do you think your record is an asset to the ticket, or would it risk fueling Trump's attacks as you being a big government liberal?
What a monster. Kids are eating and having full bellies so they can go learn, and women are making their own healthcare decisions. And we're a top 5 business state, and we also rank in the top 3 of happiness. Look, they're going to label whatever they're going to label. He's going to roll it out, mispronounce names, to try and make the case. The fact of the matter is, where you see the policies that Vice President Harris was a part of making, Democratic governors across the country executed those policies, and quality of life is higher, the economies are better, all of those things. Educational attainment is better. So yeah, my kids are going to eat here, and you're going to have a chance to go to college, and you're going to have an opportunity to live where we're working on reducing carbon emissions. Oh, and by the way, you're going to have personal incomes that are higher, and you're going to have health insurance. So if that's where they want to label me, I'm more than happy to take the label.
They are scared. I'm seeing, and we're again going to get into this more in a different segment, but the reaction from MAGA, they're trying to pretend like they have good lines of attack against Tim Walz. But similar to the weird discombobulation about Kamala Harris, they see responses like that and a chill goes down their spine. Because what is Trump promising? Mostly, it's fear-mongering and then promising things that don't make any sense, like we're going to bring back oil production even though it's at record highs right now in the United States, or I'm gonna fix our economy that's in shambles, even though it was in shambles when Biden took over, and now it's in a much better place and is strong compared to the rest of the world. And then, I don't know, more tax cuts for the rich like he did last time. But mostly he's relying on darkness and fear, and you're going to be murdered by Hannibal Lecter, and so you have to vote for me, otherwise you're going to die. And when you see a happy, vibrant 2 individuals like Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, and then you can dive in yourself, and I encourage you to fact check them. It's true. I think CNBC ranked Minnesota like the 6th most business friendly state or something. I've heard, I should probably fact check that myself, but very business friendly, flourishing there. And you can prove on a smaller scale, because the whole country, the Biden-Harris administration policies have been effective, but it's hard. That's so big and hard to tell. People sort of get lost in the sauce there. But you zoom in and say, just look at how Minnesota has done under Tim Walz. And it's a great way to make much more digestible these policies and say, you tell me, paid family medical leave. He said, kids having food in their belly so they can go learn. Universal background check, something that like 80+% of the country approves of for firearms, coming from a guy who likes firearms in Tim Walz. And reproductive protections. And you can do these things. You can make people's lives better. Make sure people have health insurance while still having a flourishing capitalistic system, right? It doesn't have to be socialism as Republicans try to portray it. And little moments like this, too.
It isn't much else. Don't give them the power. Look, are they a threat to democracy? Yes. Are they going to take our rights away? Yes. Are they going to put people's lives in danger? Yes. Are they going to endanger the planet by not dealing with climate change? Yes. They're going to do all that. But don't lift these guys up like they're sometimes the heroes. Everybody in this room knows, I know it as a teacher, a bully has no self-confidence. A bully has no strength. They have nothing. The fascists depend on fear. The fascists depend on us going back. But we're not afraid of weird people. We're a little bit creeped out, but we're not afraid. But look, and then as you heard this, and one day ago, a poll came out and showed Kamala Harris up 10 points and Donald Trump getting his ass handed to him here in Minnesota. So, sorry. But he's here today in the state of hockey to complete his trifecta. He lost in 16, he lost in 20, he loses in 24.
It's funny, I think I grabbed the wrong clip, but that's a good one. Because that makes a different point I did want to make, which is we have to have, both aggressive rhetoric and unifying rhetoric. And sometimes it feels like those contradict, but they don't. The clip I thought that I pulled was him, we looked at this before, saying essentially what you heard at the beginning there. Yes, they're going to threaten democracy. Yes, they're dangerous. Yes, and the they I'm referring to is the MAGA leaders, people like Trump. And unfortunately, they're given power by followers, but we invite those followers to see the light when they're ready. But we also aren't going to let them consume us with fear. And we're going to be pumped and motivated not just by the fact that we don't want their bad governance, but that we feel an obligation of responsibility to enable good governance for the sake of people, including MAGA, including those voters who are enabling bad governance. And we want all people's lives to get better. And that's something Tim Walz does so well. I know I'm going on so long. I'm sorry. I'm too excited about this. Videos like this as well.
Hey everybody, Tim here. 11 days till the election, but
this is a little while ago.
It's my pro tip of the day out on the road. I got to show you this. This right here is the headlight harness on a 2014 Ford Edge. Ford, this is unacceptable. It burned out hot on the connector. So for $7.99 at Napa Auto Parts here in the city, you can replace this. Just clip off the back, use some shrink wrap connectors on there, tape it back together and put it back in. It's about a 5-minute fix and you're back on the road safe and sound. So pro tip of the day. Second one is get out and vote for One Minnesota. Get out and let's take this state in a direction we know it needs.
And it's hard in a segment like this to really give you the full, if you're not familiar with him, portrayal of Tim Walz. But I know I just sound like the most cheerleader ever right now. I gotta be honest with you, and this is how I feel. And I feel very positive about him. And I think he's one of the most authentic politicians I've ever observed. And the fact that it's not just talk. Because some people, they're likable, they're this, that, or the other thing. They have that folksy charm, or in his case, they come from small town America, so there's a belief they can resonate with some of the voters that will need to be reached to win the election. But he also actually has shown that he can get things done. A narrow margin in the legislature, and one of the most historic lists of achievements from a state government in a super long time. Just knocking off one thing after another. And it doesn't have to be divisive. It doesn't have to be controversial. We don't have to be calling each other's names. And if we could push through this time and show people that, and we've seen some of it with the Biden-Harris governance, for sure, maybe that could be a way we bring down the temperature. It's just showing what compassionate, common sense, but aggressive governance for the people looks like. I sound like such a campaign surrogate right now. I do apologize, but again, I'm just being honest with you about how I feel. It's a very exciting moment. We deserve to feel some hope and optimism. We had to live through, as a country and as a world, a brutal last few years when it comes to politics. And that relates to the pandemic, how painful that was, lives being lost, all the economic turmoil. And there's still so much pain, of course. And for all of you, you know how it feels to be so invested in politics when a lot of your counterparts, especially for me, a lot of people my age, aren't. And it can feel like a lonely type of stress because you understand the stakes of things and other people seem to be walking around not really there to relate with you on that level or talk about it. Hopefully this isn't a super specific experience for me and you guys relate to this. And the fact that we've been going through that, things felt so turbulent. For a moment, it really did look like it was more likely Trump was going to win. And for the momentum to have shifted, and we have so much work to do, but I'm just grateful that we have this newfound energy to do the work. And this is one of the best tickets in terms of the governance we could see if they were to win. But in modern American history, it's stunning. Progressive, common sense. And I think it's going to be really exciting to see what can happen if we do win. But first, we got to win. And that's number one priority. So if you want to contribute to that, you can do so. We, just by mentioning it a couple times, we raised $30,000 like this for Kamala Harris's campaign, just from you guys. Thank you so much. If you haven't yet contributed, go to the link in the description of this video. Contribute whatever you feel comfortable with. I think I saw 622 people the last time I got a little report on how many contributions had come in. 622 individual people, which I think, I don't want to embarrass myself and mess up the math, but a small amount that comes out to, not small, but a reasonable amount. So give whatever you can, and together we can raise a lot of money, and we're trying to do $1 million by 1 million subscribers. So we have a long way to go. But again, link in the description of this video.